Hey guys, welcome to the MOV podcast. This is episode 10 of the Mad Over Videos podcast, and I am your host Pranav. Today we have a very special guest. I don't want to take a lot of your time before I move on to bringing him in, and I will be doing it right as we speak. Please welcome Darryl Praill from Vanilla Soft. Hi
You did a
Darryl, how are
great
you?
job. That's awesome. You got it right. Well done.
Yeah, a few run throughs. I think we got it right. Yep. So, Daryl, I would like to first congratulate you. You have your own podcast, Inside Sales podcast, and you are on episode 100. You're going to be doing episode 100. Congrats on hitting a
Yeah.
century.
Yeah. We've actually got about 105 or 106 in the can, but we've episode 100 is coming up. And I was just literally on LinkedIn a day or two ago saying, okay, guys, what do we do to celebrate this? What do you want from us? Because it's a pretty big deal. We're pretty excited. So there you go. Good times. Lots of smart people I've been really lucky to talk to. Although I haven't had you on the show. We have to get you on the show.
I would be stoked. I would be really excited to be a part of that. I think I want to know what it takes to reach 100 episodes. We are on 10th. We are like 1/10 behind you. We have 90 episodes like to go live before we could hit 100. And we are just about started with this. Please tell me what it takes to build a podcast like Inside.
A lot of patience. Let me tell you that one. For us, it was actually just we had to find our rhythm, right? If you look at you're going through this now. If you look at episode 1 or 2 or 5 or 6, they change every so often, and we probably went through 25 episodes before we finally found a format that we liked, that we really liked, and the audience liked, and just a style. The best part for us to make it scalable, because that's the hardest part, right? These things can suck your resources with the editing and the production and the coordinating, was to make it really simple. So for us, I use a Calendly link for all my guests, and I made sure it was all set up so that they could find time on our schedules. And in the link, it has like all the instructions you can imagine, links and contact information and everything. So that saved a step for me and my people to have to always be coordinating. And then we just keep it really simple. We're like, the purpose of the show is to teach the audience something they can learn and apply immediately. So it's very pragmatic, very tactical. And we just simply ask our guests, we work with them to say, give us a topic you're really passionate about, that you're an expert on, and then let's have 3 to 5 talking points, and that's it. And we stick to about 25 minutes, so it's about a half-hour show, and it's free format. We just go where the conversation takes us, but I always make sure, because I make a promise to the audience that you will learn something that you can apply. Yeah. So I always make sure that we get that out of them. There's something tactical, and they can learn it. And that's it. And then the other part about it is promotion. It took us a while to learn. We started off audio only, and then very quickly we went to audio and video. And what's your platforms? You guys are using StreamYard, fantastic platform. We use vMix now. And then, so we do a lot of on-demand stuff. We do some pay-per-click promotion of it. We do a lot of social media promotion of it. So it's learning how to promote it, really, to get the traffic and the eyeballs. And then the other part is, you get those clips so you can send them out there to people and say, here's 30 seconds. If you like this, listen to the whole thing. So yeah. For us, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a learning process. I won't lie. But now we're in a routine. Now it's all good.
Yeah, I think we've also starting to get a feel, like you said, like you mentioned. I think you make a promise to your audience that they're going to learn something from your show, whether or not we've put that out in public. I'm pretty sure there's one check mark already for people who are watching. They already know how to run a successful podcast, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot more learnings as we continue with today's conversation with you, Darren.
Oh, I love it, man. Well, you're on the right path. You know what's great about the podcast? Not only did the people learn, but for you yourself as the host, and the driving force with all the gas, everything else, is that you can take some of this content and you can repurpose it in so many ways. And I'll be honest with you, it sounds stupid. I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh, how is it you know so much about sales?" And I'm just candid with them. I'm like, dude, I don't know any more than you know. But here's the difference. I've got 100 episodes of talking to people who are really smart at what they do. And I said, so I've learned from them. Just like you learned by listening to my show, I learned by listening to my guests. And then like we'll have a conversation today and you wait a week from now, I'm going to be on LinkedIn saying something that's going to be a repeat of what we just said today, but people will think I came up with it. Secretly, you and I both know you came up with it. That's how it works, man.
Cheers. I think you just touched upon the golden trail. Like you know that there is a lot of content you can repurpose out of every piece that you produce. And like you said, we also do the same thing with our podcast. We go live with the MOV podcast on a particular time that is preset. But then we also have a lot of mini clips that come out of the some very interesting stories that are shared. Go out as separate pieces. We have the best quotes put together, and they are shared again on a different platform. And then we also write a blog about it. So I think it's all across the board that we redistribute and repurpose the same content that we produce here during this
Well,
quick chat.
so one of the things we've also started doing in the last several months too is using the platform. So again, you're using StreamYard, we use vMix. I'll actually reach out to my customers and I'll use this platform. But I'm not going live. I'm just recording local. And so what I'll do is I'll actually interview them about their use cases. How do you use us? What was the challenge you're trying to solve? What were the issues you had in deployment? What are the benefits now? What advice do you have for future customers? And then what we do, because it's great because they're remote, so I'm not sending a video crew to them. It's an easy platform. And then we actually take the recording and we send it to our writers to turn it into a case study. And then we just reduce the recording a little bit down to about, 5-6 minutes of just the best sound bites. And boom, now you've got this brilliant case study. You did dirt cheap. You're repurposing the content. It's a platform you already know and use and love. It's got branding galore all over it. I mean, who would not want to do that? So you can do a lot more than just podcasts. But yeah, the whole repurposing thing, people don't give it enough love, but it's fantastic.
Absolutely. I want to talk about this thing. I'm dying to address this. 2 months ago, you put out a LinkedIn update. From being the chief marketing officer at VanillaSoft, you're now the chief revenue officer at VanillaSoft. Why don't you walk us through the transformation that has happened with your role at VanillaSoft?
Sure. So feel free to interrupt me at any time. I had fun with that announcement. Yeah, I put out a thing on LinkedIn. For those who missed it, I'll share with you what I did. It was totally mean. And what I did was I said, hey, just, crew, just an FYI, I am just sharing that I'm no longer the chief marketing officer at VanillaSoft. Then I had this long pause. Then I said, but don't worry, I'm the new chief revenue officer. So people for a few minutes were thinking I'd left and I was going somewhere else. And I totally had fun with them. I got a lot of people, you give me a heart attack. Don't do that. It was a lot of fun. So so I'm a dick. There we go. I said it. The whole process, the process is an interesting process because much of this is, as you might imagine, outside of my hands. It wasn't like I went to, the powers that be and said, let's change the org structure and the reporting structure and the people who are involved and make me the CRO. And it was so I didn't do that. And the other part that's interesting is that, whenever there's a transition like that, those people that are no longer in the sales leadership role, that was my friend. That was my colleague who I worked with. So they're never easy. For the company, they'd never had a CRO before, right? So before I began, they'd never had a CMO. So the only other C-level officer at this company is our CEO. So they brought in a C-level CMO. So clearly they must have thought that went okay. And they brought in a CRO. And how it went, clearly, as you might imagine, anything else, is my CEO came to me, before this all went down to say, we're thinking of making a change. and we're thinking of bringing on a CRO, not a replacement VP of sales. So they had already made a conscious choice to not replace the VP of sales with another VP of sales, which is a whole conversation on its own. When does your company write for a CRO, because they have a different mandate?
Yeah.
And then the question was, would you be interested in that? So as you might imagine, that's me going, okay, I know we're just talking hypothetically, because you're thinking of making a change. So I'm going to give you my hypothetical answer. And so what that led to was basically a back and forth negotiation on, if I took the job, what would I need, in my opinion, to succeed, etc. And what they needed from me was, okay, if we go down this road, then we need to see a 90-day plan of what you're going to do, which I then put together. And that was a process. I actually, in all fairness, the first thing I did, folks, I'm just like you, talk about experts. I went to Google, 30, 60, 90-day plan, CRO. And then I called up a few of my external buddies on social media who are the thought leaders. And I said, this is what's going down. What would you do in your 90-day plan? And so with enough input, you kind of had a consensus, and it worked with what I thought. And I presented it. They liked it. They gave me the job. So that's how that went. But my CEO made one point really, really clear to me. And he said, I need you to be the CRO. So we need to backfill a head of marketing and a head of sales, because I need you to be that strategic, driving, unifying force. So he was emphatic about that. So it's not like I'm a VP of sales with a CRO title. I truly am a CRO, and I'm actually backfilling those positions right now. That was the first part. Was really different. Then after that, it was nuts. I mean, my first 30 days, I had never worked so hard in my life. And I thought I had. I just left social media. The whole summer social media was gone. I felt guilty. And it's just because what you're trying to figure out is, okay, what is broken? I knew what I thought was broken when I was a CMO, but and the only way you can figure that out is if you get really deep into the people and the conversations and the data. For example, one of the things I did was I made a sales enablement team. That didn't exist before. I made a revenue ops team. That didn't exist before. And I went to my new revenue ops team and I said, your first job is to analyze using the data, the sales teams. So they come back with this data and they give it to me and they say, here's your analysis, Darryl, check it out. And I look at it, and what they had done, which was brilliant, was it said rep 1, rep 2, rep 3, rep 4. And I'm like, where's the names? And they're like, no. You can't know the names. So I had to do my analysis on not knowing who the people were. So I was impartial. Get rid of those biases. So it was quite the process, but we overhauled everything. I restructured the team, dynamically brought in a whole bunch of new roles. I mentioned the new departments. So a few people left, a few new people came on, and it's been dynamite. Already we're seeing a change. Average deal size is going up. The number of seats are going up. But the biggest thing is how we sell. So I brought in an account-based marketing approach, which we hadn't done before. So we're figuring that all out. And then to support all this, we had to go and implement and deploy Salesforce.com. Plus, we implement and deploy Terminus. So this isn't a title change. This is a process change. This is a technology change. This is a culture change. So it's pretty dramatic. So right now, I'm just trying to catch up on sleep.
I'm sure you'll find some time as you get into the role and try and understand what you should be doing. But then I think interestingly, since you come from a marketing background and now you're heading the entire revenue function, I want to bring this point out where most leaders at companies do not they don't understand how you judge marketing activities, right? Typically they evaluate marketing ROI from the sales perspective, right? Because now that you are in a position where you're in charge of revenue and at the onset, I think I'll just take a quote from my previous episode that featured Nick Bennett from Logs. He said that sales and marketing have to be tied at the hip, right, to ensure that revenue, gets the right boost. But then, why should people stop evaluating marketing from the sales lens? I think you also posted something about this particular topic on your LinkedIn, and you should have a better perspective after I think a lot of people have contributed to that post as well with their own thoughts.
Yeah, we've had some good engagement. I've been blessed with a lot of loyal people on my tribe. So a couple things, right? So context to your point about marketing and measuring, especially on sales. I think, don't quote me on this one. You'd have to ask the board and the CEO. Part of the reason I was offered the job to be CRO is because I did go in to my CEO's office months prior to this all going down and saying, here's the scoop. A portion of my, as CMO at the time, a portion of my compensation is based on revenue. Now, to the best of my knowledge, I'm generating the forecasted required MQL inbound lead flow based on our agreed upon definition. Hence, it's marketing qualified. It meets that definition, and sales is accepting the lead. So I've done my part, because if they didn't like it, they wouldn't have accepted it. So why am I? And that was a big thing. Why am I being part? You're measuring me marketing by sales outcomes, but I've done my part. And that's just sparked the conversation that we have a problem in sales. So to all the marketing folks out there, do not blindly accept that measurement without making sure you're in a position to hold sales accountable. Now, how you hold sales accountable is through a service level agreement. And that's what all the control you've got. And a service level agreement says, it defines the rules of engagement. So you talk about being connected at the hip. That's literally what it does. It's the glue. So the sales and marketing leaders should need to sit down and say, how do we define a marketing qualified lead? Title, role, company size, industry, etc. All right. When will you accept it and when will you not accept it? How do we define an SQL, sales qualified lead? How soon will you follow up on a lead that marketing gives you? How persistent, how many attempts will you do to follow it, etc. So you need to understand that so that you know that the leads you generate as a marketer are treated optimally by the sales force. So for example, if they take a week to follow up on a hot lead, that lead is no longer hot. That's bad. If you only call them once or twice, which is not uncommon, that's bad. So sales has got to be held accountable. The other part is, I always tell people, the two leaders need to understand how they're respectively compensated. If I understand how my sales colleague is compensated and vice versa, the marketing colleague, then I know their thought process and how they're motivated. You got to know that. That's critical. And I think that was the catalyst for making me CRO. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I think the point you made is trying to understand the motivation behind completing the sale or things like that.
You got it. And if you don't know that, you're flailing in the wind. And it goes both ways. The head of sales needs to understand marketing's motivation and how they're measured. Otherwise, they'll never understand why they do what they do, right? Correct. So that's why you have the CRO there who now says, listen, whereas the CEO is worried about customer support and customer success and, product development and the board and the shareholders, the CRO simply says, I'm focused on revenue and we're all on one team. So let's just stop this crap and figure it out.
Absolutely. I think they have to go hand in hand. Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster, right?
It is. It's revenue now, right? It's not so much sales and marketing. It's revenue because the lines are blurring. I laugh, right? Because you have SDRs talking about their open rates and their click-through rates and their subject lines and their email formats. When did that happen? When did sales start quoting marketing stats? So it's all revenue now.
It's a beautiful world.
It's a beautiful world, man. You got it.
Right. Coming back, I asked this question to all my guests, and I would like to pose this at you as well. I know that you, as a company, VanillaSoft, and you personally, Darryl, are mad over videos. I want to know why Darryl is mad over videos. Like, you love videos. I think your personal branding is all about videos. Your podcast is in video. VanillaSoft does a bunch of videos. What makes you mad over videos? What is it about videos?
Oh, it's a brilliant question. So it's a complex answer, but it's actually a pretty simple answer. So number one, We all know video marketing is amazing. You can check all the stats and the engagement levels and the actual conversion rates are just dramatically higher. That's why when you put a video in an email, it converts higher. When you send a LinkedIn video to a private individual, it gets a better response. People just love video. That's the first part. So why would I not play the odds, increasing them in my favor? That's number one. Number two, I'm a big believer that you are the brand that you project. So right now I'm in a wonderful little studio. It's an affordable studio, but I got 5 lights in front of me. I have a light overhead. I've got a real background. This is not a Zoom background. All right. And I got sound insulation, so there's no echo. I got little earpieces in my ear. The whole point is, if I look polished, then I project trust. And I project like I'm a thought leader. So when you're in the sales cycle, they're always making these psychological assessments. And do I trust them or not? Do I value their point of view or not? And video allows it to be more than just what I say. It's my body language and my appearance. So that allows me to control the brand. But the most important reason I like video is this. My 2 biggest competitors, so each raised, like one's raised 250 million, one's raised 300 million. I've raised less than 1% of that. So how do I compete with somebody so well-funded? I beat them on social media. Yeah. That's how I do it. And how do I do that? By adding value and sparking conversation. And people on social media, they're not engaged with VanillaSoft, the company. They're engaged with Darryl. They're engaged with you, the person. So video allows my personality to come across. I'm not shy. I can be effusive. I can exaggerate. I can call people out professionally. And that allows my content with less than 1% funding to rival or exceed the visibility my competition gets. So video is a fantastic equalizer, and that's why we do it.
I couldn't expect a better answer coming from you. I think you hit the nail on the head. At the cost of sounding repetitive, this is the same point I made in the previous episode as well, that when you don't have the marketing dollars, you go back to content and
yes.
Better than that.
And the funny part is, when I started here, I had a LinkedIn profile, but that was it. I was like everybody else. I barely used it. It was a job thing. That's what it was, right? Get my next job. So I had to learn that. And then I started off using my phone. It's as simple as that. These puppies do great videos. The first thing I did was I bought a gimbal for the phone. That's what I did. And I bought a little plug-in mic, a corded lapel mic. And that's how I started shooting my videos, was with that. So you don't need a big budget to start making some great content.
Yeah. Like following up with the same point, I want to ask you this. I really want to debunk this myth that a lot of people have, that videos are for marketing, right? I personally believe that videos are great for all verticals or all business functions, be it sales, be it customer success, be it the actual product team, or even the leadership. Everybody can use videos for their benefits. What do you have to say?
Oh my goodness, dude. I gotta pay you money. You could be like my agent. You're like preaching it. Let me put it in the straightforward way you'll all get. All right. The acronym is CX. CX stands for customer experience. If you want to maximize your likelihood of closing a deal, you want to make sure that the customer has a cohesive, consistent, predictable experience. So from the time they first hear about you, word of mouth, Google search, pay-per-click, whatever it might be, do they consume your marketing? Do they talk to a person? To now they become a customer, and now they're working with support or they're working with success. And now it's time for that renewal. All right. Maybe there's a renewals manager. That everywhere along the way, it's the same. Because if it's not, you're going to get bad reviews, and your reviews are going to tank on Google, on Capterra, on TrustRadius, on G2, etc. So what's the easiest way to ensure a customer experience? 2. 1, you got to train your people across the board on the right message, the right voice. So everybody here at VanillaSoft knows the voice. It's fun, it's friendly, it's outgoing, it's collaborative. And they also know that, we're not afraid to make fun of ourselves and be self-deprecating. But then it's also, some of the language, the terminology across the board. And then some basic stuff like use cases and case studies, etc. Once we all understand that, you got to let those people who own that voice connect relationally with the individual. And that's where video comes in. So one of the first things we did when we started making videos wasn't just marketing videos. It was all about the CX. So we went and took every single week, we would shoot at least one new customer support video and at least one new customer success video. And we did it over and over and over again. And one of the first integrations we did with VanillaSoft was Vidyard as one example. So the reps had native video and they could do it right away as part of the process. So yeah, video, it crosses all departments. And it's a fantastic way to make sure your customer not only favors you over the competition, but more importantly, that they stick with you and they do not churn.
Absolutely. High five for that.
High five. Woo!
So I think I want to dig a little deeper into the same question. I think we've answered why video is great across the board. I think my team sitting and watching this, I'm going to be really happy because they now have a lot of content to chop, and this is going to be the promo. This is going to be the promo, like what you just said, right? Coming back to sales, what challenges in particular do you think sales faces are solved by videos?
Oh, so what? Let me be specific on this. What are the challenges that sales faces when it comes to video?
No. So I want to know what are the challenges that sales faces in general, right?
Okay.
That can be solved using video.
Okay, that can be solved using video. Yeah. Okay, so a couple things that can be solved using video. So one is in no particular order. We talked already about relationship building. So, sometimes on a phone or especially on an email, words can be taken out of context. Tonality can be inferred by the recipient that was never meant to be inferred, was never implied, but for whatever reason, they took a positive email negatively. Who knows, right? So video ensures that, from a sales rep, that the message is clearly delivered. The intent is clearly delivered, all right? That's the first thing video does. The second thing video does, it's a dynamic, powerful way to give quick answers. So often we'll get questions like, well, I don't understand how this works. You said your feature A does whatever, but I'm not seeing it. Either I'm not seeing it on your website, or I didn't see it when I'm kicking around your free trial, or whatever it might be. No problem. Let me do a quick little, Camtasia, ScreenFlow, QuickTime, whatever. And let me show you, bing, bang, boom. See here, I just did this, I did this, boom, done. 30 seconds explainer video. And they go, oh, wow. And then as you get deeper into the sales cycle, maybe it's a little more technology, me actually having some packaged explainer videos already done up on how the certain technology works or how we differ from somebody else is a great little way saying, boom, send this. It's a great way to handle that objection you're having internally. So in other words, one of the things we always teach sales is you've got to teach your prospect how to create and present the business case for us. Well, video is a fantastic way of giving them the mini business cases over and over again. So they can just share it and people can consume it on any device and they go, oh, and that way your sales rep scales. So the messaging, the differentiation, the quick answer, the business case building, all of that is huge for sales, which otherwise would take a boatload of time on my rep. And here's my challenge, a CRO especially. The more time my rep can be developing new business, the more money we make as a company and the more commission I get to pay them. If my rep spends an inordinate amount of time nurturing along the existing business, hand-holding them, then that's not happening. Videos, because you need to understand, if I get a question once, I'm going to get a second and a third and a fourth time from other deals. So having those videos they can just grab and throw and say, there you go, let me know if you have any questions, dramatically scales my sales team and makes me able to achieve more revenue with my same headcount. So my cost of acquisition goes down and my revenue per employee goes up, all because of video. what a simple reason. Why would you not do video? You're stupid if you don't do video. Have I made that clear?
I have the content that I will have to chop out and send to my customers. I think potential customers, sales leaders, here's the piece. I'm just going to take the small piece out of the podcast. Darryl doing all the selling for guch, right? I don't have
Darryl
to do that with my.
on video talking about why you're stupid if you don't use video. That's good. I like it. That's a little bit of
Brilliant.
Zen going on there. I like it. A little meta.
I'm sure. I'm sure. There are a couple of other use cases that I also like to point out that I feel are relevant for sales leaders to look at. One is, I think, building social proof. I think you spoke about explaining the product and explaining certain features and why sales guys need not spend all that money, all their
Yep.
time on educating. I think education is one. Social proof, like I think people
Yes.
buy from people, so when they hear other customers who've used and there's this sort of this reputation that gets built because a few other brands that are well known have used your product. I think that's something that people really love. And the second point I'd like to make, and you can touch upon both of them like you wish. The second one I would like to say is for trainings, for training your own sales reps, right? Because a lot of time is spent into explaining what needs to be sold and how it needs to be sold to our own sales teams. I think internal, we talk about a lot of video that is done for consumers, but we don't talk about videos done for your own employees. I think if you have a large sales team, let's
Oh,
say thousands
dude.
of sales reps, this is what the video can help you solve that.
Dude, the whole sales, and we haven't even touched on that. You're so wise. The whole sales enablement side of doing the sales, the videos for training and how to, and that could be, we talk about call recordings, but why call recording? Why not an actual side by side where you see the a video of your rep and you can hear the person at their end, and then a capture of the screen or a Zoom recording, right? We can see both sides and the screen share. Huge for training purposes. But the other part, I mean, you nailed it. One of the biggest expenses any organization is going to have is training your sales team, because part of it is you want a consistent message, and part of it is you're going to have turnover on your staff. So you're always bringing on new people, and they start at the bottom. So I don't want to have to always be teaching the same content over and over again. So recording my content sessions, whether it's product or service specific, in VanillaSoft's case, this is how the VoIP works. Let me show you, right? Or it's how to sell. This is what you do when you get an objection. This is how you ask an open-ended question. This is how you ask a closed-ended question. This is how you perform discovery. Is dynamite. And it's huge. I would go one step further. True story. We do this here at VanillaSoft. We call it book club, but I should call it video club, because what it is every single week we go get a killer video. It could be a video or it could be a live stream or a recording of a live stream. It could be a webinar. It could be whatever. It could be something on YouTube, and we get everybody to go watch the video, which is usually something, either it's our competition or it's a skill or it's an industry issue. And then once a week, we come back on our weekly sales meeting. And like you would in a book club, where you talk about the characters and the story, and you have a little sip of booze, and you have some crackers and cheese. We do the exact same thing. We talk about what we thought of the video. Did we agree? Did we disagree? How can we incorporate that? Video is all about the training and the scaling your training and ensuring a consistent message. Dynamite stuff.
Yep. And I think, see, I mean the adoption of video in businesses, I think that has gone up by like leaps and bounds after the pandemic. I think sales
Yes.
reps who would possibly be having face-to-face meetings, doing handshakes and selling over, say, even a beer, can now not afford to do all that, and then they have to use videos, right? I mean, they have to be on Zoom calls, they have to be on whatever WebEx or any platform that they're using. But at the same time, a lot of things that you would do in person have now to be done on video, right? And you cannot really like think of it as a good to have entity. It has become a must have, right?
It is. And in fact, to the point that every single one of my customer facing staff. So they could be marketing, they could be sales, they could be a sales engineer, anybody who's ever talking to a customer. I go out and I do the following. I buy them a high quality microphone. It doesn't have to be something like this, but I buy them a high quality microphone. That's a dynamic microphone. Why dynamic as opposed to condenser? Condenser picks up all the sound around. So if I'm typing, you would hear that typing. Dynamic is hot on the end only. So if I'm typing, you don't hear it. So they all get dynamic microphones. They all get dedicated webcams. If they need a little tripod for that webcam, so that's at the right position, that's huge. They get lights, and we talk to them about their branding behind them. If you're going to be in your house because they're all working from home, is it clean? Is it tidy? What does it say about you, whether it's intentional or not? If you have a bookshelf, they're looking at the books on your shelf. Is there a book you don't want there? The Kuma Sutra probably shouldn't be on your shelf, right? So, I'm not judging you. You read whatever you want to, but context, because again, it goes back full circle to brand. We want our customers to hear us, and if you've got the big headphones on, well, you know what? Let me get you some more discreet headphones, like what I'm using now. The whole point is about, I want you to have a face-to-face. I want to look good for you so that you will go, wow, it's just on the phone with VanillaSoft and they sounded good. They looked good. They were professional. And then I went to the competition and they were, cloudy. And I was looking up the guy's nose because the camera was sitting, in his lap. And it's like, what a difference. Again, it's those, why would you not take advantage of that to make yourself better than the rest?
Absolutely. I think it goes the same way, right? In the pre-pandemic world, you would dress up really well. You show up as your best self. I think the same thing has to be done now in video. I think you have to ensure that you're wearing good clothes, or maybe, like you said, ensuring that the backdrop is something that you really intend to show in the back in the podcast, in the actual sale meeting that you're doing. And also, if there's anything that is not to be shown, just get rid of that.
Get rid of it. Just move it out of the way. Yeah. The funniest part, people are always, when I get on these kind of conversations, tell you how we've been all zoomed to death. People are shocked when they learn that this is actually a real curtain behind me. They just assume it's a backdrop, right? And it's funny to watch the reaction. Quickly followed by, well, what's behind the wall, Darryl? So it's okay. It leads to a wonderful conversation.
Absolutely. I want to talk about your achievements. I haven't seen so many achievements on LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, it's marketing. Don't believe it.
I want to know. You are a 2020 top 10 sales SaaS branding expert. You're a top 19 B2B marketer to follow, and then Sales World top 50 keynote speaker. Why is it important for a leader like yourself to be at the top of your game when it comes to having a personal brand out there?
Oh, that's an easy question. It's a great question. I wish more people would ask it, and it always leads to conversations when it does come up. So first thing I'll say is, you don't need to be me, just be you. But the reason why brand is so important is multifaceted. One, whenever somebody buys something from you, again, the human psyche is we're looking for reasons to say no. I mean, think about, when was the last time you went on Amazon to buy something? It could have been $5. Even at $5, did you look at the reviews? Of course you did. All right. You looked at the reviews to make sure that it was going to be a good $5 spent, not a bad $5, because people liked it. So social proof, right? So that branding is the same thing. It's social proof. So they know that when they're talking to me or my team or the products I represent, that I'm credible. That's the first point. The second point is you never know what tomorrow holds. So, for example, when we took the job, when I say we, I mean my wife and I took the job as CRO because we're a team. I said to her, honey, just so you're clear on what this means, if I accept the job, is, you thought I was close to the exit before. I'm really close to the exit now. I have a bad quarter or something. I'm gone. So she's like, well, oh my gosh, and then that led to a conversation. The point being, we're self-aware of our circumstances. So why would I not proactively take control? So, okay, we have a bad quarter. Darryl gets the axe. Darryl's gone, unemployed. Because of my branding, will people seek me out when I'm announcing I'm looking for my next opportunity? Because of my branding, when I apply for a job and there's 100 applicants, will I be in that top 5, that shortlisted 5? Because, on paper, we all kind of sound the same. So why me? Right? So the branding's about your social proof. It's about your street cred. It's about future proofing your own income earning opportunities. My wife has always told me that I suck at networking, and she's 100% right. The beauty of social media and branding is that it's allowed me to rectify that without having to go to every single freaking personal face-to-face meetup in the local pub. And I'm happy about that.
Brilliant. I think it all ties back to again being good on video, and then ensuring that even if you don't want to be physically present in a networking environment out there, you can just shoot out a video to thousands of people who are following you on your LinkedIn, having that kind of a followership, and they want to see what you have to say. That you have a very unique voice on things that you represent and things that you work with. I think videos is again something that again ties back to personal branding as well. I've seen so many videos that you do, and you're so consistent with that. What drives you every day to get in front of a camera and put yourself out there?
Sometimes, sometimes it's therapy. So I did one a couple of days ago. It was a Friday, and I had somebody trying to troll me, and I was not happy about them trying to troll me, and I was annoyed, and I wanted to respond to them, but I knew if I responded to them, it would just give them more attention, so I couldn't do that. So I said, okay, I'll talk to the issue, and I'll do it on video. And I did. I got massive engagement. So, the troll had 2 or 3 comments. I had over 100 comments. I had over almost 10,000 views. I guess I won that one. So sometimes it's therapy. For a lot of it, candidly, it's just understanding how people buy. So, you see me online, I talk about something sales related, and you go, hey, that's really cool. If I'm ever going to buy that product or a product like that, I'll give Darryl a kick at the can. But then 6 months goes by, you forgot about me, and lo and behold, you go and buy a product and you didn't call me. Well, that's bad. We don't want that. So the frequency of the videos is to make sure that I'm always top of mind in case you're in the market. There's an element of that. The other point there, candidly, is the video frequency is about driving referrals and inbound leads here at VanillaSoft. You would be shocked how many referrals and inbound leads come to me personally, not through the website or anything else. Just, hey, Darryl, I've seen your content, talked about your products. Can you show me? So that's like free. That's the cost of acquisition on that lead was $0. All right. If you can do better than $0, you let me know. So, there's that. And the other part is, it sounds stupid, but it's exactly what we talked about earlier about training. So when I'm in these conversations with prospects, they'll say, yeah, well, this is my pain, and I'm looking for a solution to fix it. Or I don't like your product because of that feature. Okay, so one is a pain, one is an objection. Well, if you have that pain, so do you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Let's get online and talk about the pain. And the next time somebody shares with me in a sales call, they have that pain, I'm going to say, you know what? Let me send you a link to this post that had 50, 100, 200 comments. And you'll see my video, and you'll see the conversation, and you're not alone. But remember, what's at the top of that conversation? It's my video. So and they go, oh, wow. Same thing on the objection. They give me an objection. I'll say, well, you know what? Let me send you a link to another post where I talked about that objection. And again, the conversation is fantastic. So all of a sudden they start going, wow, these guys are thought leaders. So it's a great way of me expediting the sales cycle again. So it's a lot of reasons, but mostly it's just cheap. It's great branding that I can do for very little money.
You've been brutally honest. I think we realize the people who've already been doing videos for a long time, they know what's the return on the time that they spend, and whatever little investment that they do to get like a good video out regularly on their feed. I also wanted to mention about the point that you just made, right? It's not just the content that I want to talk about, the pieces that you just brought up while you spoke to me about other aspects of your job. I think a lot of pain points that I can actually identify as a revenue leader, as a CRO, what you go through in your work, and then I can actually say the same things, like you said, exist with a lot of other CRO folks out there. And then I think it also gives me that business intelligence in trying to understand what are the pain points. Again, it's free survey for me when I'm doing this, because then I can then sell to those pain points to my potential customers.
Yes. 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 Emphasize. That's one of your clips. Cut that and post that. That's right there. What you said.
Awesome. I want to talk to you about a collaborator of yours. You've been participating with this guy in your videos, on your feed a lot of times, and you also happen to mention you're a user of his product itself. You're a buyer for him as well, and that is Sangram Vajre, the co-founder of Term. You seem to have bought his software, and then you seem to have been really good friends. Please tell me what kind of relationship you share. And I'm doing this again because maybe Sangram becomes a guest on the podcast, episode number 12, 13, whatever. I feel like he's again going to be a great guy to be invited onto the podcast.
Oh my God, you're gonna love Sangram. You're gonna love Sangram. So, um, yeah. So the relationship with Sangram has evolved. You know, Sangram. I was just a fanboy. I had literally, stood in line to get his book. He signed it to me. Here you go. And I was part of a long line. I'm like, hey man, love your work. The usual stuff, and off you go. That was it. And then, and I watched. I watched from afar. I totally. There's a handful of, the marketer in me. There's a handful of marketers that I really, really respect, just like there's a handful of salespeople I really, really respect. And so I watched from afar, watched his stuff. It's all cool. So when how did this begin? This really kind of began where I was kicking the tires on acquiring Terminus. I was doing a competitive evaluation process. And of course, you talk about networking, right? And in part of the video, to your point about maybe get Sangram on your show, I'm thinking the same thing. I want Sangram on my show. He's got good draw. Why would I want him on my show? So when I was talking to my sales rep, and I happen to know some of the other executives in the company, I said, hey, as part of this deal, if we do this, I'd love to, do something with Sangram. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure we can work that out. So we're moving forward, and I got a message from Sangram. Hey, talking to so-and-so here. You might be a customer. I love that, right? We're going to get you on one of my Monday morning LinkedIn lives. Great. So fast forward, we're still in the final deals. And, a couple of weeks passed. I said to my rep, I'm like, never heard from him again. I said, but I appreciate the try. I know he's busy. I really genuinely get it. No, leave it with me. So boom, we inked the deal. Boom, Sangram's there. Darryl, let's get you on the Monday morning live. Okay, sure. So off we go, doing exactly this. And really, so the first time Sangram and I truly connected was literally just like this. We were using StreamYard. He uses StreamYard, just like you guys do. And so it's like literally this interface we have going on right now. And he's asking me all these questions. And it's like we're like each other's brother from another mother. We're laughing. We're answering the same questions. I remember him saying to me, Darryl, first time head of marketing, who do you become best friends with a company? And I'm like, head of HR and head of finance. And he was like, oh my gosh, bro, dude, that's what I always say. So this is what's going on, right? Nobody says that. So we really bonded. We thought a lot alike. So from that, he invited me to join. He's got a community that he's behind called the Peak Marketing Community. And he asked me to join that. So then I was in there, and he's loving the stuff. And it just evolved. So from there, it was like, let's do this together. Let's do that together. And I think what it was that he recognized a kindred spirit in me as I did in him, that we think very similarly. He is a very happy, energetic guy. His favorite word is boom, and I love doing the mic drop with him. So he's a peer whom I respect. And when you got two people on something like this, or in a community whom you respect, I mean, magic happens. Because you can have people that you say, yeah, they're smart, or they're smart, or they've had success. But when you connect, it's magic. So, and the beneficiary of that often is the audience, is the community. So I like to think maybe he's leveraged me a little bit. I've definitely leveraged him a little bit, but we're texting each other now. It's wonderful. He's just a great man. And what I like about Sangram, in all honesty, Sangram knows his strengths and his weaknesses. He's very transparent. He's very vulnerable. He's very forthright. You won't be misled by him. You're just going to get sincere advice and truths and perspectives. And at the end, that's all I want from a friend or a colleague. Just shoot straight with me. I may not like what you say, but sometimes we need to have that truth, so I don't make a mistake that I could have avoided, or I take something from here to here because of what you told me. So he's a pretty smart guy. If you don't follow him now, please, guys, all those on board online here, give Sangram a follow. He's a smart man.
I am sure we're going to use this clip again. This part of the interview is going to be cut out into a video that is going to be shot across to Sangram so that he takes notice and then happens to come over and join us on the MOV podcast very soon.
You're going to embarrass me now. He's going to go, "Oh, Darryl," and I go, "Oh, Sangram, don't believe it. I was just online. I was lying."
So Darryl, I also want to ask you, because we just spoke about Sangram being such a big influence on you and me and a bunch of other marketers out there. I want to know, who are the other marketers and brands that you think are doing really well on LinkedIn, especially, or across the board, people who crush it with videos?
So whether it's online or LinkedIn. So I actually asked this question the other day on that same community. I asked a group of people, who are the CMOs or the marketers that they admire the most, so and I opened it up to get the ball going. I said, for me, one of the ones in the world that I quite respect and follow their stuff, I look to them for advice, I look to them for innovation. So, because I'm always looking to innovate, so I stand out. If you can innovate before others innovate, then you look pretty smart. And for me, it's a fellow named Neil Patel. I quite like Neil Patel. I think he is he's just a smart cookie, and he's pretty transparent and pretty honest. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. So I like Neil Patel. On LinkedIn, those who I have a lot of time for, and are doing video well, and they do it differently. Two names come to mind. One, I will never hear the end of this if I admit this publicly, from him especially. It's a fellow named Benjamin Dennehy. Benjamin is the UK's most hated sales trainer. And he is so in your face and abrupt, borderline rude, sometimes blatantly rude, but it's all part of his shtick. But his videos are amazing. And this guy, he's a ham, but he puts his calls out there. He's a cold calling expert. He puts his calls out there, and he has fun with it. He smiles at the camera. He's cheeky. Like, you just want to watch him. He's just fun to watch. So he's quite good. I quite like him. And then it's stunning. You don't have to agree with him, but he does provoke you. The other person that comes to mind, maybe not as natural on video, because he's not, he's not like me in the sense where I'm like over the top energy. That's not what he is. He's very much laid back. It's a guy named Scott Leese. And why I like Scott Leese is he knows how to use the medium. So he's a really smart guy, calls it as it is. You know where he stands with his convictions and his beliefs, whether it's politics or healthcare or social. And he's a master at the podcast, master at the video. He's a master at the live stream. So he works with Amy Volas, Thursday Night Sales. He's the host of Thursday Night Sales. So he's a big user of Patreon and YouTube. So here's a guy who really, really gets the medium of video. Yet he's contrarian because he's just such a laid back, soft spoken guy. So you don't need to be a late night talk show host to be on video. That's your lesson. You just need to have substance and content. And so those are two that come to mind who are rocking it on video. Now I got to give an honorable mention to the folks at Lead IQ, Ryan O'Hara and the crew there. They make the best, funniest videos. I want to do more videos like they do. So those are maybe three. Those are my three honorable mentions. I'll mention. Follow them if you haven't.
Yeah. I did come across a video
Oh.
that Ryan posted recently. Oh, sorry. Please go on.
No, I'm sorry. One more. All right.
Yeah.
Sarah Brazier at Gong.
Oh.
Dynamite.
I got connected to Sarah just yesterday. I think such a brilliant profile, such brilliant content that she puts out.
Dynamite. So Sarah Brazier at Gong is just dynamite. Please follow her. She is just so good and smart. And what a success story. I mean, she's been doing this just over a year and a bit, from SDR to AE, rocking it at Gong. And she's fun. She doesn't take herself seriously. She's honest. I mean, you just want to walk the journey with her and give her the business because she's just so nice. So yeah, another one. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, absolutely. Shout out to Sarah. And I think I'm going to be tagging her as well after we put this post out on LinkedIn. So yes, I want to ask you one question. I think we're like close towards the end of the show. So I want to finish on a high. I want to know, because you're a veteran, two things. What is something that you would say to a young guy who's possibly going to be on the same path as you? Because I think, one, yes, I don't think everybody has the same kind of journey in their careers or lives in general. But there are a few things that you could possibly tell them, because you can only look back and connect the dots, but they cannot look in front and know what's going to come next. But then possibly some bits of advice for someone like that. And then second, if you want me to like first answer this and then go to the next question, but the second question for me is, what are you looking forward to in 2020, remainder of 2020 and the next year?
All right. So advice for the folks entering their career. I have a handful of pieces I say over and over again. First off, if you're waiting for your employer to make you a rock star, it'll never happen. If it does, that's nice. Thank them for it. But they don't owe you bupkis. All right. They're paying you a salary to do a job, which you're doing. They pay you. It's a transactional deal. They have no obligation to make you better than what you already are, to train you, to coach you. Not on the table. They should, but they don't have to. So if you expect them to, stop doing that. Your success is dependent upon you taking the initiative to learn and to get better. So learning is earning. All right. Spend your own hard cash or time or both to actually learn. All right. It's incumbent upon you. You are the master of your career. It's number one. Number two, take the initiative. Stop waiting for permission from your company. Half the time they'll never give it to you. Just take the initiative. You think something needs to be done, just go do it. And then come back and say, I did this. Here are the results. What do you think? So keep on doing it. All right. Take the initiative. Stop waiting for permission. Don't be shy. Just, if you think it's the right thing to do it. Number three, great is the enemy of good, which of course, good is the enemy of great is a long-term expression, but I firmly believe great is the enemy of good. In other words, I can get to good, which is 90% of what great is, pretty fast. But that final 10% to get to great might take me days. And when you're spending that delta of days to increase it only 10% from good to great, you're not doing something else. If it's good enough, get it done and out the door so you can do something else. All right. So the more you can do, the more you can scale, the more successful you will be. Not everything will be a success, but the more you can do it, the more you can succeed. So good is what you want. Great is great if you can get there quickly, but don't focus for great every single time. It's about time management. I had one more that I wanted to line up for you guys, but of course I'm blanking on what it is right now. Yes. Two things. Test everything. Everything you do, A/B test it, all right? Because it'll always get better. So, write a blog post in one format, then write it in a different format and see which format gets the same topic. The second thing, as an example, test everything and always get better. The second and last thing I would give you on what you do is never be afraid to fail. I would rather you try something and fail than never try at all. Honestly, because if you try and it succeeds, you've taken me further than I've ever been before. And if it fails, We've learned now and we'll never do it again. All right.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid to take risks. They're just controlled risks. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a good thing. You will learn from it. And then you refine it, testing, and then you'll get better. And eventually you'll get great. There you go. That's my advice if you're getting into it. And what do I want for 2020? I simply want to complete the transformation of my sales and revenue machine to get them to the point that I know they're capable of getting. And right now we're at the hard part, which is more so people, getting in people's heads and their mindset and sales methodology and consistency. All right. They've got the tools, they've got the training, they've got everything else. Now we just need to kind of rinse and repeat, and get iteratively better every single time. I wish this was done already. I'm a very impatient person sometimes, but candidly, if it's done by Christmas, December of this year, going into 2021 on a high note like that, we'll have made the transformation. I'm going to be absolutely thrilled.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. I think most of the people who are watching this have not just learned one thing. I think they would have learned 5 or 10 different things from what you've said. Personally, I'm so excited to see what your 100th episode beholds, and then I'm really wishing you from the bottom of my heart. I wish you all the best for the next 100 and the next 500 episodes that are going to be coming for Inside the Inside Sales podcast. Thank you so much for your time and gracing us with your presence, Darryl. And I hope to stay in touch with you and possibly keep learning a lot more from you.
Man, I'm the one that should be thanking you. I love that you're advocating and pushing this knowledge out there. Keep it up. Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.